Good morning. It's August 6, 2020, and I'm being inspired by my friend Lori on the package opening thing because today I got a package and I know what's in there and I want to share it with you because it's a cool story. Anyway, it comes from Amazon. See, there we go, package. It's got my husband's name on it because he ordered it, but I know it's for me. Anyway, so here's the story. Let me open up the package and show you what's there. I'm actually sitting outside the post office because I can't wait to get home. Oh, wow. There it is. There's the book. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John by Pearl S. Buck. Now, the only place I could get this book was Amazon. Nobody else had it. So, when I was a young reader, back in the day, like you can see, it's a children's book. I would spend time in the library quite a bit, but not because I wanted to be a knowledgeable, well-read child. I was avoiding the school sock hops. That's right, I did not want to go dancing. Anyway, so I was avoiding the social functions of the school, and I would find during those times I would go into the library and hang out in the library. And I found this book, and it's an amazing story about 4 kids. Let me just read the back of it so you have an idea of the storyline. Abandoned by their American GI fathers and Korean mothers, 4 young boys live under a bridge as a family, with Matthew, the oldest, serving as the father. Sam, an American soldier, invites them to a Christmas party on the base, where the boys begin a new life. Sam and his wife adopt Matthew, who continues to worry all about those left behind. An inspiring story of self-reliance, compassion, and moral courage in the face of daunting odds. This book deals with racial prejudice, abandonment, and the responsibility of being a father to a family. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are the names of the 4 boys. And I would read it over and over again. And it's the only book I remember that had an impact on me somehow. And for me, I think it was because I kind of grew up in a mixed culture. Maybe not as dramatic and dynamic as the culture that these kids grew up in this story, but it was significant for me at the time because it was something that was dividing who I was. My dad was German Mennonite family. My mom came from Danish Lutheran family. And the Danes and the Germans were one dynamic, and the Mennonites and the Lutherans were another dynamic, and I kind of felt somewhere squashed in between this. But I never, as a child, didn't actually process the whole psychological ramifications to that. But I found this book, and this book spoke to me, and I read it over and over again. And now in my 50s, now that I'm trying to process things, I got the book again, and I want to read the book again. So I'm looking forward to reading the book again. Anyway, I'll catch y'all later, but that's what I wanted to tell you about. So there you go. Bye. Hi, I'm back again. And guess what? I read my story, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John by Pearl S. Buck. Story of 4 boys, orphaned, and orphaned not because their parents died, but their parents abandoned them. That's right, because their fathers were American soldiers that had come over for the Korean War, and then they went back home again, so this is probably set after the Korean War. And their fathers went back home, and their mothers were left with these children that did not look Korean and did not look American. And they were shunned by their Korean families, and eventually abandoned by their mothers. So the story picks up really about this one boy, Matthew, and then it adds each segment of the story adds another boy, and Matthew looks after Mark, and then Matthew looks after Mark and Luke, and then John comes in, and Matthew looks after Mark, Luke, and John. And eventually they end up going to a base, an army base, where they're having a Christmas party there, and a guy by the name of Sam discovers them and discovers Matthew and wants to adopt Matthew. And that's so cool, right? Like this American man comes and wants to adopt this American Korean boy. But Matthew is torn. He's all excited because he has a father that wants him, and now he's going to have a mother when his father takes him to America, to New York. But his heart is torn because those 3 boys that he looked after. And just a beautiful story of even when Matthew gets to America, his heart is still for those 3 boys that were left behind at the care center. So, like all good books, they all end up with a little happy story at the end, and Matthew and his family decide to see what they can do about getting families for the other 3 boys. So, yeah, so that's the story. Anyway, just a beautiful little story. I'm glad I have it, and it was a treasure to go back and read it again. Go back to my childhood memories, sitting in the library on the floor in between the library shelves, and nobody else was there because everybody else was in the gym at the sock hop, and I didn't want to be there. Anyway, that's a sad story, but that's all right. So yeah, so this book, precious. Anyway, catch y'all later. Bye.